Hi, this is Bruce, and today what we're going to do is build some cards from scratch using HTML and CSS. So you can see here I've got a blank page that just says cards demo. Well, it's blank. It's got a little header with the waves animation up at the top. And here you can see I've got, here's that HTML that I've linked up to a CSS, and so far our CSS is blank. So if we go back to the Figma design and mood board and layout stuff that I did, we can see that I've got a page here, mobile first and responsive, with some cards, and then I've got the cards organized into a grid. And if we look more closely at the markdown or the Emmet that I'm looking at doing, each card is going to be inside an anchor or a link tag, and then it's going to be made up of an article that's going to contain a figure and a section. And inside that section, there's going to be a header and a paragraph where we can put some text and stuff like that. So let's get started with this. So let's get started with the HTML. So first thing I'm going to do is create a section where we can put our grid for later, and I'm going to call it cards, because they're cards. And let's start off by making 3 cards, and we'll see how that looks. So I'm going to go A times 3. So that'll create 3 links and everything. It'll copy it 3 times. And then I said in here would be an article. Inside the article will be a figure plus an image, but we'll come back and do that later. And then there's also going to be a section. Inside that section will be an H3, plus there's going to be a paragraph inside the section as well. So if I hit that, it should have made 3 different cards or links. I just put the thing in the wrong place. Right. So here's the basic structure for our cards. So in that href, I'm just going to go Command D. I want to put just a placeholder hash mark so that it acts like a link properly. And then in the figures, again, Command D. I'm going to put an image, and I'll put the like the photo card header for now, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little bit more with that later. And then in the H3s, topic or subject or exercise. And then in the paragraphs, we're going to put description, something like that. So if we go and look, boom, right, you can see we've got the cards, but there's no styling or anything like that yet. And so now let's get busy with the CSS. So I know I'm going to need a cards, and then something on the link. Actually, let's go ahead and make a bit of a grid first of all too. So cards, display, grid. And then we're going to do grid, template columns. And we'll keep it easy for now. We'll just do 1 FR. Well, let's do a repeat. 3 times 1 FR. So it should give us 3 different, it should give us 3 columns. Okay. Let's add a little gap there. Just to separate those things out. So now you can see we've got a little gap, and gap does a good job of putting gaps where it's needed and not where it's not needed. And we'll obviously I've made my design first, so I know what my design is going to be, but we'll come back and we'll do the mobile version after, even though it should be mobile first. But I did the design first, so we should be pretty good with that. Okay. So next, right. But I guess we don't need anything on this, right? So I guess the next thing is to let's put an outline on the A. So border, and then we'll go 2 pixels, solid, and then RGB. Okay. And so now we've got our border there. And while I'm here, I'm just going to move in. So you can see our text is right up against the border here, and I don't like that, obviously. So I'm going to, well, actually, we can do it like this. Right, so I'm going to go in here in the section, and I'm just going to add a little bit of padding, right? Something like that. So cards, sections, padding, and we'll do 0 at the top for now, and 0.5 rem on the left and right sides. Boom. Right, so now we can see we've got that, and I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom as well. So left and right, and then bottom 0.25 rem. Okay, just a little bit at the bottom just to give us some space. So that's looking pretty good so far. And now say we wanted to add some border radius to that, right? So we can click on the article and come in here and go border radius. One rem, and that had no effect. Let's try putting it on the figure. Let's try putting it on the image. You know what? Maybe it's working. No. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so let's just round out the corners a little bit just for fun. So I'm going to come over here to the link. And let's see if we just add a little border radius. Right. So we can see the border radius down here, but if we look up here, we can see that the image is not having the border radius. So let's go into here, and we'll do overflow hidden, and now you can see that it's not overflowing. We might move this around a little bit later, but for now we'll just copy this, and we can put it right into the section here. And just to make sure it's stuck, and it did. Okay. So the next thing would be to have that the second image, right? So that when we hover over the card, we can see that there's another image that appears. So I'm going to come back here first of all and add another image inside all of these. Neat. And let's give them all a class. So I'm just option clicking. Not sure why I put top. Should be kind of over, but over would be a better one. But let's go with that for now. So now if we come back here, right, you can see that we've got the second images all all lined up and things like that, and we want them to be on top. So let's just click on. Well, let's first of all create a style, make it a little easier. So if I do cards top, right? So I'm selecting all the elements with a class of top inside cards. And then if I do position absolute, and we'll see what happens. So now they've all become positioned in kind of a strange place. I'm not quite sure why they're there and not top left-hand corner and all that kind of stuff. But now if we come back and on the, let's see here, on the figure, because the top images are inside the figure element. And I'm putting this here kind of so things are in the order that they appear in the HTML. I always find it handy. So if I do put position relative on the figure, then now, where did they go? They are there and underneath. But they're also overflown. So if I just go back to here, and do cards image and opacity 0.5 or 0.5, can we see them? Let me just turn off the overflow hidden for a second. We can see that they're there. I'm not sure why this one's here, though, instead of here. Okay, I think I see what's going on. They're going to the right. I thought they were going kind of on and to the left, but they're literally going to the right because of the positioning. So let's just make sure they're positioned properly. So so we'll go top 0, left 0. There we go. This is what I was expecting. So I just needed to add the positioning for them so that they're there. So now we can see that they're on top of the other ones. That's why I called them top, because they're on top of the other ones. But we do have like some weird size things going on here. So let me just add an aspect ratio to the images. Or I could also open up, obviously, Illustrator, or sorry, not Illustrator, but Photoshop or Lightroom, and resize the images. That would probably be better, but whatever. We'll just do it this way. So 16:9, and we'll do object fit cover, so that it covers the entire area without filling it up. And I think it's done center, but depending on what your images are, you also might want to put something like object position. And if I do center, we'll see if they move. They don't seem to be. But if we come back here to the object position here, and say I was to put top, you can see now, right, it's changed to the top. And if I do top and then left, right, you might see your top right. Is it the other way around? Left, top. Yeah, it's the other way around. So left, right, or top, center, or bottom. So let's just put that back to center, assuming that the content of our images is in the center. Okay. So now what I want to do is, when I hover over, I want the image on the top to go from 0 opacity to full opacity. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so there's my image top. So I'm going to set opacity to be 0. And now let's create our hover pseudo element on the A. So I'm hovering on the A, but only on the A's inside cards. Mm-hmm. And then, so we've got the hover, and I want to change the opacity of the top image. And so now if we come back to here, let's just get rid of that image opacity for all the images. Since now we know that they're placed properly. And now you can see when I hover over the cards, we can see that the image is changing. So we're pretty close to done here. We could do things like, get rid of the underlines. We could add transitions to the actual hover thing. So if we come up here and say transition, opacity, and do 0.5 seconds, right? Then we get a bit of a kind of a transition, pretty quick, maybe even 0.25 would be better, and then we should be good there. And then you can see my cards are expanding and contracting in a responsive kind of a way. So I guess the only other thing to do, or the other thing I might do, is to make it mobile first. So I'm just going to take the grid template columns, actually going to take this whole thing, cards, and I'm going to come down here and then create a media query. So app media, screen, and min width. And so we always want to work from min width and go up. So when it's just a lot easier on our brains. So I'm going to put like 740 pixels. Right, so only when it gets to 740 pixels is it going to change the number of grid items. So we can just go like this, and I just want 2. At that point, 740, no, I want it actually smaller. So let's put it like 600 for now. Let's see how that looks. So they'll get as big as 300. No, they'll get as big as 600 before it goes to. Didn't I get rid of this? No, I didn't. Let's try this again. All right, so it gets as big as 300, or so when it becomes 600 wide, then it goes to 2. And then why is it going to 3? That. Probably because of some grid I've got somewhere else. Oh no, it wasn't going to 3. It just I hadn't refreshed properly. Okay. And then you can see here somewhere around right where it starts to disconnect. So that's where we can put our next point. So it's at 1240. So let's put it at 1200. So I'm just going to copy this. Just cleaning it up a bit. So I'm going to copy this media query, make a second one, change this to 1200, change this to 3, and now we should be, when we hit 1200 pixels, it should go to 3. There we go. So I guess the only other thing I need to do is change out the main image for all of them. And so here, instead of photo 1, we can do that one. And then here, instead of this, we can do ET1 card header. And then here, instead of photo 1, we can do Web 1 card header. Refresh. Photo, web, or ET, and web. Cool. And there you go. I hope that helps to see how we do it from scratch, and how we build up slowly, getting our things looking the way we want, one step at a time.